Thursday evening, 1985. Mum's shouting from the kitchen to hurry up. Dad's already claimed his armchair. You're fighting your brother for the spot closest to the telly. The Top of the Pops theme tune starts, and suddenly, nothing else in the world matters. We gathered 15 British TV shows that peaked in the 1980s and will absolutely transport you back to when watching television felt like the most important thing you could do. Get ready for appointment viewing that made entire families stop what they were doing. Right? Let's start with Saturday morning magic. Saturday Superstore. Saturday morning, 8:30 a.m. You're bouncing on the sofa in your pajamas. Bowl of cereal going soggy because you can't look away from the screen. That department store jingle hits, and your weekend officially begins. Mike Reed grinning like he's selling you the future. Sarah Green looking impossibly glamorous for a Saturday morning. Keith Chegwin causing absolute chaos somewhere in Britain. The sacred phone number 01811-8055 burned into your brain forever. That anticipation was everything. Friday night going to bed knowing Saturday Superstore was waiting. The search for a superstar, where some kid called Claire and Friends sang about being horrible in love when you're 8.5. Even Margaret Thatcher reviewing pop videos like she understood what Duran Duran was about. When did Saturday mornings last feel that structured, that essential, that absolutely magical? But Saturday Superstore's replacement proved the magic was just getting started. Going live. Philip Schofield with hair that defied gravity. That gunge tank sitting there like a neon green threat. You're praying someone gets gunged, while secretly terrified it might be you if you ever got on. Trevor and Simon doing dance routines that made no sense, but somehow you knew every move. Sarah Green, back from her Superstore days, now dealing with pure Saturday morning anarchy. Kids actually getting through on the phone lines, living every viewer's dream. The ritual was sacred. Saturday breakfast finished by 9 a.m. Entire family pretending they weren't watching, while secretly hoping someone famous would get gunged. That feeling when your favourite band appeared and suddenly Saturday morning became the centre of the universe. Would you have survived the gunge tank? More importantly, would you have wanted to? The young ones. But here's where television got properly dangerous. November 1982, BBC Two after 9 p.m. You're watching something your parents definitely don't understand and probably don't want you seeing. 4 students in a house that makes your bedroom look like a palace. Rick Mayall as Rick, pretending to be an anarchist while secretly being middle class. Adrian Edmondson as Vivian, destroying everything in sight with genuine punk fury. Nigel Planer as Neil, so depressed he makes you feel guilty for enjoying anything. This wasn't just comedy. This was your older brother's university friends turned into a sitcom. Alternative comedy exploding through middle-class sensibilities like a Molotov cocktail through a sitting room window. MTV showed it in America because nothing this anarchic existed anywhere else. The famous Bambi episode. University Challenge with Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie being impossibly posh, while Rick screamed about Thatcher. Comedy that made your parents nervous and made you feel like rebellion was possible. But this was just the beginning of what 80s television could do to your emotions. And you're not going to believe what happened when soap operas discovered they could make entire nations cry on Christmas Day. EastEnders. Christmas Day, 1986. Queen's speech finished. Dinner plates cleared. The entire family gathering around the telly for something that would make grown men shout at the screen. Happy Christmas, Ange. Den serving divorce papers like they were Christmas presents. Angie's face crumpling. Your mum actually gasping. 30.1 million people sharing the same emotional gut punch at exactly the same moment. Picture that power. Leslie Grantham and Anita Dobson, creating television chemistry so intense it redefined what soap opera could do. The Venice episodes, where they talked for 20 minutes and nobody changed the channel. Den and Angie's relationship, making your parents' marriage look simple. Albert Square, becoming more familiar than your actual neighbourhood. Storylines about teenage pregnancy, terminal illness lies, and family secrets that made Neighbours look like a children's programme. When did television last have the power to stop an entire country and make them care this much? The Bill. Speaking of stopping the country, Tuesday nights meant crime that looked real for the first time. October 1984. Sun Hill Police Station, where coppers looked like actual people instead of television stars. Handheld cameras making you feel like you were following PC Jim Carver down another grim London street. Natural lighting that made everything look like your local high street. Dialogue that sounded like actual police work instead of American drama. Mark Wingett as Carver, looking permanently knackered. Trudy Goodwin as June Ackland, proving female police officers existed before television noticed. Eric Richard as Bob Cryer with his pigeons, treating every criminal like a disappointed headmaster would. This was Thatcher's Britain, reflected back through police work. Miners' strikes, rising unemployment, racial tensions. The Bill showing what happened after the politicians finished talking. Real consequences for real people in recognisably real places. Bullseye. But Sunday tea time belonged to something completely different. Jim Bowen's super smashing great, echoing through sitting rooms where families had finished their roast dinner and settled in for gentle torture. Picture this, Sunday 4 p.m. You've eaten too much. Everyone's slightly sleepy. Jim Bowen appears with contestants who couldn't hit a dartboard if their mortgage depended on it. 15 to 20 million people shouting answers at the screen like their lives mattered. Keep out of the black and in the red. Nothing in this game for two in a bed. Watching grown men from Birmingham win speedboats they'd never use. The bendy bully sitting there like a consolation prize that somehow felt precious. Those families gathered around tiny televisions, 3 generations shouting different answers. Nan knowing more about darts than anyone expected. Dad pretending he could do better while secretly knowing he couldn't. When did game shows last feel that innocent, that genuinely exciting for ordinary families who just wanted to spend Sunday afternoon together? And Saturday nights? That's where television discovered it could make entire families puzzle over cryptic clues that made absolutely no sense. 3, 2, 1. Saturday night. ITV. Ted Rogers doing that impossible finger countdown while 12 million people tried to work out what a stick with a twist, but not in a drink, could possibly mean. Dusty Bin sitting there like a £10,500 threat. The most expensive prizes on British television, cars, holidays, everything your family dreamed about but couldn't afford. Contestants choosing between certain prizes and mystery possibilities. Ted Rogers earning more money than most people's houses cost, just for being incomprehensibly cheerful about the most confusing game show format ever invented. Families shouting, "Not the bin!" at strangers making impossible choices. The hybrid quiz variety game show format that somehow worked perfectly because everyone was equally confused. Saturday night entertainment that brought 3 generations together in shared bafflement. Despite still attracting 12 million viewers, they cancelled it in 1987. Ted Rogers claimed the Oxbridge lot got control and didn't want it. Too down market. The Generation Game. Larry Grayson taking over from Bruce Forsyth and somehow making it better. 1979. 25 million viewers during the ITV strike, proving British families would watch anything rather than talk to each other. Shut that door! What a gay day! Imaginary friends called Everard, Apricot Lil and Slack Alice. Grayson's camp humour making Saturday night feel like your funny uncle had taken over television. Ordinary families making pottery that looked like disasters. learning skills they'd never use again. The conveyor belt memory test, where cuddly toy became a national catchphrase and everyone forgot everything else they'd seen. Isla St. Clair pretending to be competent while Grayson pretended to be useless. Prizes like fondue sets and hostess trolleys, representing everything 80s families aspired to own. When Grayson quit in 1982, while still popular, it felt like he'd taken innocent family entertainment with him. Spitting image. But innocent entertainment was about to get eviscerated by latex puppets with attitude problems. February 1984, Sunday night television that made politicians hide behind their sofas. Margaret Thatcher, portrayed as a man using the men's urinals. Ronald Reagan, putting motor oil in his hair before public appearances. The royal family getting treatment so savage it made Private Eye look respectful. Peter Fluck and Roger Law creating puppets so perfectly vicious that 15 million viewers made Sunday night's appointment viewing. Politicians claiming they didn't mind while secretly checking how they looked before public appearances. The 1987 election special broadcast after polls closed because ITV genuinely feared it might influence voting. When getting the spitting image treatment meant you'd truly arrived in British politics. Sunday night television that made adults laugh like naughty children while children watched adults behaving badly. Meanwhile, comedy was getting properly sophisticated. Blackadder. Rowan Atkinson in medieval settings with a budget that showed. But then Ben Elton and Richard Curtis took over and created television comedy perfection from 1986 onwards. Edmund Blackadder, sarcastic and brilliant, surrounded by idiots. Tony Robinson as Baldrick, getting stupider and more lovable every series. Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry bringing Oxbridge wit to historical settings. Consider that evolution. Medieval farce, becoming Elizabethan wit, becoming Georgian satire, becoming WWI tragedy. Blackadder goes forth, ending with that haunting finale where comedy becomes something else entirely. Historical settings commenting on contemporary 1980s politics. Clever dialogue that made you feel intelligent for understanding the references. Comedy that proved British television could compete with anything when writers trusted audiences to keep up. The template for intelligent British sitcoms was born in Edmund Blackadder's various historical incarnations. Top of the Pops. While comedy was getting clever, Thursday nights belonged to pure pop magic. 7:30 p.m. The whole family gathered around the telly because missing Top of the Pops meant missing the cultural moment of the week. Michael Hurl, producing the non-stop party showcase from 1980-1987. Yellow Pearl, theme tune with flying vinyl and neon pink graphics. Everything about the 80s distilled into 30 minutes of musical perfection. The Human League performing Don't You Want Me with Art Deco staging that made your sitting room look boring. Jeffrey Daniel introducing the backslide to British television. Madonna's UK debut with Holiday while your parents tried to understand what they were watching. John Peel returning in 1982 with dry wit that mocked the format while secretly loving it. The moment when your favourite band appeared and Thursday night became the centre of your universe. These weren't just performances, these were cultural coronations, the seal of approval that transformed musicians into pop stars and made Thursday evening appointment viewing for an entire generation. The Tube. But if Top of the Pops was the establishment, Friday Night Channel 4 belonged to pure musical rebellion. November 1982. The Tube broadcasting live from Newcastle like a message from the future. Jules Holland and Paula Yates, with chemistry so electric it made other TV presenters look like they were reading auto cue. Proving music culture existed beyond London, beyond the BBC, beyond everything safe and predictable. The Jam's final television appearance. Frankie Goes to Hollywood's first. Bands performing completely live when everyone else was miming. Alternative comedy mixed with music that challenged everything. broadcasting anarchy from Tyne Tees that perfectly captured mid-80s youth rebellion. The feeling that anything could happen because it was live, it was dangerous, and your parents definitely didn't understand it. The end came when Holland swore during children's viewing time. Paula Yates's final words, "You're going to miss us when we're gone." She was right, and you're not going to believe how television tackled the decade's biggest social problems. Grange Hill. Zammo Maguire's heroin addiction. Children's television tackling drugs, with honesty that made adult programs look timid. The cast recording Just Say No with Nancy Reagan, while dealing with storylines about real addiction. Gripper Stebson making school bullies seem real instead of television villains. Tucker Jenkins representing every kid who couldn't sit still in class. Roland Browning proving fat kids could be heroes too. This was working class, Liverpool authenticity bringing real problems to children's television. Drugs, bullying, teenage pregnancy, issues your school pretended didn't exist, while Grange Hill proved they absolutely did. How did children's television ever manage to trust young audiences with real problems, real consequences, real life? Only fools and horses. September 1981, BBC One. You're settling in for what looks like another ordinary sitcom about market traders. Then Del Boy opens his mouth, and suddenly British comedy will never be the same again. This time next year, we'll be millionaires. David Jason and Nicholas Lyndhurst creating brotherhood so believable you wanted to move into Nelson Mandela House with them. Del Boy in his sheepskin jacket selling briefcases with combinations locked inside. Rodney dreaming of something better while everything falls apart. Christmas Day became sacred ritual. 20 million people gathering around their tellies, watching the Trotters' latest disaster. Families quoting "lovely jubbly" until New Year. The chandelier scene in A Touch of Glass, making 10 million viewers gasp in perfect unison. This wasn't just comedy, this was Thatcher's Britain seen through Peckham eyes, Del Boy's eternal optimism in the face of constant failure, representing every working-class family's dreams. Schemes that reflected real 1980s anxieties, nuclear fallout shelters, luminous paint, mobile phones the size of bricks. The wine bar fall in yuppie love. Del leaning casually through an open flap, saying, "Play it nice and cool, son," then disappearing from view. Comedy timing so perfect, it made the entire country laugh as one. Brideshead Revisited. But the decade's most beautiful television came from Granada. October 1981, Brideshead Revisited, proving British television could create cinema-quality drama for Sunday evening viewing. Jeremy Irons narrating as Charles Ryder, with voiceover that made literature come alive. Anthony Andrews as Sebastian Flight, capturing doomed aristocratic youth against Castle Howard's impossible beauty. 11 episodes of pure visual poetry. Venice sequences that looked like expensive films. Oxford scenes that made education look romantic. Geoffrey Bergen's heart-wrenching score, making every scene feel like lost love. Laurence Olivier and John Gielgud, adding theatrical gravitas to television that felt too beautiful for normal viewing. Nostalgia for aristocratic certainties that somehow resonated with Thatcher-era aspirations. The template for prestige television was born. Literary adaptations became profitable international exports. Quality drama that proved British programming could be art. What we really lost. Here's what nobody tells you about losing these shows. We didn't just lose great television. We lost 3 sacred rituals that made watching TV feel like joining a national conversation. First, we lost appointment magic. Thursday 7:30 for Top of the Pops wasn't just viewing time, it was when British youth culture officially happened. Sunday tea time. Bullseye wasn't just a game show, it was family bonding, disguised as competitive darts. Think about that anticipation. Friday night, knowing Saturday Superstore was waiting. Thursday afternoon, rushing home before Top of the Pops started. Sunday lunch, finishing early because Bullseye was calling. Second, we lost shared cultural moments that connected strangers. 30 million people gasping at Den and Angie. 15 million families shouting at Bullseye contestants. 25 million viewers trying to solve 3-2-1's impossible clues. These weren't just viewing figures. These were shared experiences that created water-cooler conversations lasting weeks. Cultural references everyone understood because everyone had watched. Third, we lost television that brought 3 generations together voluntarily. Grandparents, parents, and kids gathering around the same screen, laughing at the same jokes on the generation game, shouting at the same soap villains, arguing about the same Top of the Pops performances. Ask yourself this: when did families last schedule their lives around television programs? When did watching TV last feel that communal, that essential, that absolutely magical? These shows captured the last moment when television created genuinely national experiences. When 4 channels meant 15 to 20 million people regularly shared the same emotional journey. The 1980s created perfect conditions. Social transformation under Thatcher, giving creators rich material, improved production values, making everything look better, colour television adoption, making everything more vivid. Most importantly, limited choice, meaning everyone watched together. But what we really lost was the ritual itself. Families defending their favourite viewing spots. Arguments over what to watch becoming family bonding. The anticipation that made ordinary Tuesday evenings feel special because the bill was on. Saturday morning magic, where every weekend felt like Christmas morning. Thursday evening excitement that made the school week worthwhile. Sunday tea time traditions that turned lazy afternoons into family experiences. These shows didn't just entertain us. They taught us that television could create community, that shared viewing could connect strangers, that appointment television could make ordinary families feel extraordinary. We lost the beautiful belief that everyone deserved access to the same cultural experiences. That television existed to bring people together, not split them apart into individual viewing bubbles. Most importantly, we lost that sacred British genius for making ordinary moments feel special, for turning family viewing into shared adventures, for creating television that felt like national conversation instead of personal consumption. Those Thursday evenings when missing Top of the Pops meant missing everything that mattered. Those Sunday afternoons when Bullseye was the highlight of the weekend. Those Saturday mornings when going live made getting up early feel like privilege. That magic existed. We lived it. And maybe remembering it means something survived. Which show breaks your heart the most? Those Thursday evening rituals waiting for Top of the Pops to make your week complete. Sunday tea time gathering for Bullseye like it was family tradition. Saturday morning chaos with going live that made weekends feel infinite. Drop your TV memories in the comments. I read every single one, and they always transport me back to when appointment television ruled our lives and made ordinary families feel like they were part of something special. And if this brought back proper nostalgia for the shows that united an entire nation, smash that subscribe button, because there's so much more about the Britain we grew up in that deserves remembering. So many more shared experiences that made ordinary Tuesday evenings feel like cultural events. What other slice of lost Britain should we explore next? What other memories should we rescue before they disappear forever? And if you enjoyed this, be sure to check out our most recent video, 10 British snacks that peaked in the 80s